Number 3. In an attempt to avoid being blank, Joyce Carol Oates often blanks the narrative voice of her stories. So here we have a classic blind. We really have nothing to go on here. So if she's avoiding being, happy, let's say, then she's going to make the voices darker. So if she's avoiding being that, then she's going to kind of be a little negative for the second portion of the sentence. Whereas if she's avoiding being negative, then she's going to do that to the narrative voices of her stories. So all we know about this question is that we're looking for opposites. So we have to look at each answer choice as a pair. So looking at A, it says to avoid being unconventional, which we talked about yesterday as a synonym to unorthodox. Unconventional, so if she's avoiding being unconventional, that means that she's being conventional. Then it says Joyce Carol Oates often modifies the narrative voice of her stories. So if she is trying to be conventional, she wouldn't be modifying the voices, she would be keeping them the same way that she would normally have them. So that's why we can get rid of A. Then in B, to avoid being tedious. Now if something is tedious, it's like a tiresome, annoying task. So she's not trying to be tedious. Then she's going to stabilize the narrative voices. So to stabilize voices is not going to help out being not tedious. So that doesn't really work for us here either. And by the way, anytime we're going through a word that you don't know, just put a question mark there if it's a mystery, and at the end you can do your own analysis to see which ones make the most sense. So then we move on to letter C, which says predictable and varies. So she's avoiding being predictable, which means she wants to be unpredictable. Then she's going to vary the narrative voices of her stories. Now that works. So if she doesn't want to be predictable, she's going to change things around and screw with your head so you don't know what to expect. So this works really well. Then if we look at D, so if she's avoiding being outlandish, then she's going to alter the stories. So outlandish is kind of bold, brazen, kind of crazy. So she's avoiding that. She's not going to alter the stories. She's going to keep them the same once again. So that's out. And then E is to avoid being extremist. She's going to pacify them. Now that doesn't really even have anything to do with the narrative voice at all. So this is also out. And we're left with C, which is our correct answer.